Watch your sergeant major come back down.
My boss just showed.
Yeah, he's done it.
I was rehearsing prayer because I never given one
Oh,
in
you're
case he
good.
didn't show up.
Oh, you are all good.
He's here.
He, Sarcy said, it's an. I was gonna re-announce, but are you going back down? I just need you to relay. Um, if you'll just relay when they're ready to start. I know I'm waiting on Sergeant Major Thorpe-Noel to get back down. Well, she need to sit down. Okay. Sarcy said, can you just ask the CG if he's ready? Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. On behalf of Major General Joseph R. Callaway, the Commanding General of the United States Army Human Resources Command, welcome to the Change of Responsibility ceremony for the United States Army Human Resources Command as Command Sergeant Major Lynice D. Thorpe-Noel relinquishes her responsibility as the Command Sergeant Major and Senior Enlisted Advisor to the Commanding General to Command Sergeant Major Anthony B. McAdoo. We will also officially recognize Command Sergeant Major Thorpe-Noel with a retirement ceremony following the change of responsibility. Also participating in today's ceremony is Sergeant Major Jalita L. Lanier, the United States Army Human Resources Command G357 Sergeant Major. The music for today's ceremony is provided by the 100th Army Band. The band is under the direction of Chief Warrant Officer 3, Chad J. Allward. Please stand for the presentation of the colors by the United States Army Human Resources Command Ceremonial Honor Guard, and remain standing for the arrival of the official party, the playing of the national anthem, and the invocation given by Chaplain Ralph L. Beganic.
Let us pray. Oh God, how can we say thanks for the things that you have done for me and for each of us who are gathered here? So many blessings we could count, but especially we thank you for the blessings which have been in the lives of our outgoing Command Sergeant Major and a new mantle of leadership being provided. Thank you for the gifts in their lives individually and in our lives corporately as we seek to honor and serve our country. I pray your blessing on this service and ceremony, that it would be an honor to the individuals who have served so nobly. We ask this trusting in you. Amen.
Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. At this time, we would like to recognize our distinguished guests. Present at today's ceremony are your presiding officer, the Commanding General of the United States Army Human Resources Command, Major General Joseph R. Callaway, the outgoing Command Sergeant Major of the United States Army Human Resources Command, Command Sergeant Major Lynice D. Thorpe-Noel, and Mr. Terrence Noel. The incoming Command Sergeant Major of the United States Army Human Resources Command, Command Sergeant Major Anthony B. McAdoo, and Mrs. Bevan McAdoo. The United States Army Deputy Chief of Staff, G1, Lieutenant General Gary M. Brito, and his Sergeant Major, Sergeant Major Mark A. Clark, Jr. The United States Army Deputy Chief of Staff, G9, Lieutenant General Jason T. Evans, and his wife, Mrs. Shelley Evans. The Command Sergeant Major, Defense Health Agency, Command Sergeant Major Michael L. Gregg. The Command Sergeant Major, United States Army Medical Command, Command Sergeant Major Diamond D. Huff. The Command Sergeant Major, United States Army Cadet Command in Fort Knox, Command Sergeant Major Jeremiah Gann and his wife, Mrs. Autumn Gann. In addition, we would like to welcome all general officers, sergeants major, community leaders, soldiers, civilians, friends, and families of the United States Army Human Resources Command that are not only present today, but also watching us on Facebook Live and YouTube. At this time, gifts are being presented to Command Sergeant Major Thorpe-Noel's husband in recognition of his support during her time in this position and for his continued support during her Army career. A bouquet of yellow roses is being given to Mrs. McAdoo, welcoming her to the command and thanking her for her support. A bouquet of roses are also given to his mother and a single rose to his daughter, thanking them for their continued support to the Army. The Change of Responsibility ceremony is a time-honored tradition that runs deep in symbolism and heritage. The key to the ceremony is the passing of the colors. In past times, the colors were a rallying point for troops in battle. In many ways, the unit colors provide the same purpose today, drawing people together for a common action. A unit relies upon the unity and loyalty of its members for success, either in battle or garrison. The colors are the visible symbol of that unity and loyalty. The unit's Command Sergeant Major is the custodian of the colors. When the colors are not displayed for the commander, they are kept in the care of the Command Sergeant Major. In keeping with tradition, the colors of the United States Army Human Resources Command are being passed to Command Sergeant Major Thorpe-Noel for the last time by Sergeant Major Lanier. Command Sergeant Major Thorpe-Noel passes the colors to Major General Calloway, thereby relinquishing her responsibility for the personnel of the command and signifying that the unit is never without NCO leadership. Major General Calloway passes the colors to Command Sergeant Major McAdoo, signifying his acceptance of responsibility for the personnel of the United States Army Human Resources Command and the responsibility as the keeper of the colors. Command Sergeant Major McAdoo passes the colors to Sergeant Major Lanier, who will return them to their place of honor. Ladies and gentlemen, the Commanding General of the United States Army Human Resources Command, Major General Joseph R. Calloway.
I think they had this set for General Rampy. Sorry, Hope, I love you. All right, good morning, everyone, and thank you very much for taking time out of your schedule to join us here this morning. Lieutenant General Brito, sir, thank you for coming. Lieutenant General and Mrs. Evans, thank you very much for taking time out to come as well on your personal time, no less. And to our civilian aide to the Secretary of the Army, BG retired Iacocca, sir, thank you very much. To our nominative 3-star CSMs, Command Sergeant Major Webb from 5th Corps, in the middle of a warfighter, no less. Command Sergeant Major Huff, our MedCom CSM. Command Sergeant Major Gregg, who is our DHA CSM. And then Sergeant Major Clark, our G1 nominative Sergeant Major. Thank you, gentlemen, for your service and for being here this morning. To our 2-star CSMs who are here with us this morning, Command Sergeant Major and Mrs. Gann, thank you again for supporting us. And to Command Sergeant Major and Mrs. Foley, thank you as well. To CW5 Yolandria Dixon Carter, DC as she's affectionately known across the Army, who is our Senior Warrant Officer Advisor to the Chief of Staff of the Army. Chief, thank you very much. Fellow General Officers, Sergeants Major, distinguished guests, friends and family, and if I could, the 100th Division Band, thank you very much. If we could give a round of applause to the band. Ooh. And most importantly, to the families who have joined us here for Command Sergeant Major Thorpe-Noel and Command Sergeant Major McAdoo. You're what make this special, and you're what got these two great leaders to where they are today. So first for Command Sergeant Major Thorpe-Noel, her husband Terrence, who we recognize. Terrence, thank you. Ms. Mary Reese, her mom, ma'am, thank you. Their daughter Corey, up from the Huntsville area, so thank you for making the trip to support your daughter and your mom. And then also to Sergeant Major and Miss Jessie House, who is Terrence's mom and her mother-in-law. So thank you very much. To Bevan, thank you and welcome to Fort Knox, Command Sergeant Major McAdoo's spouse. And then Ms. Mary McAdoo, his mom, up from Somerset, Kentucky. and their daughter Alicia, who's here with us. Thank you very much for making the trip as well. And to those joining us online, so there's a couple of key people that we have online as well. Sergeant Major McAdoo's other daughter, who's joining us online from Little Rock, Arkansas, Kiana. Kiana, thank you very much for taking the time. And his sister, Stephanie, also Sergeant Major McAdoo, who it's about midnight in Korea where she is, and she's taken the time out of her schedule supporting 3ID's rotation to Korea to be here to see her brother take the colors. So thank you all very much. My wife, Lori. Lori, how are you? Good. She's with us as well. And then also online, Team McAdoo's Pomeranian. I'm sure he's sitting at home on the iPad. Memphis, I know he's a little spoiled, and he's out there with us now, having some kibbles and enjoying the show. So thanks to him as well. And again, thank you to everybody for being here today on this very special occasion. I want to start off with providing a little bit of context. So I'm sure all the general officers here in the room have heard this, General Evans, General Brito. Wow, you're a general officer. That's really amazing and selective. Now, General Evans and General Brito, probably deservedly so. So general officers, out of everybody that joins the Army, about 2% of them become general officers. Officers who join, about 2% become general officers, a little bit less. They put a buffer in there of 1% for guys like me to slip through the cracks. So I made it, right? So not that big of a deal, really. Sergeants Major. How many sergeants major, out of all the people that join the Army every year, less than 1% of those elevate to be a sergeant major? Now, if you talk about the nominative sergeant majors within that population, you're talking much less than 0.5%. And that represents these two great leaders here, as well as some of our CSMs in the audience, and Sergeant Major Clark. A tremendous, tremendous accomplishment. And where did that start with? What did that start with? That started with Ms. Mary Reese, and that started with Ms. Mary McAdoo. Instilling the values and the work ethic and the character and the sense of selfless service in these two great leaders. That's where it started. And to the rest of the families, to Corey, to Alicia, to Kiana, to Stephanie, to everybody else that was there along the way to support these two great leaders, nobody gets to this place without people in their life like you. So if I could, let's please have a round of applause for the moms and the spouses. Thank you. And we have two ceremonies, as you guys I think are tracking. We're going to do the change of responsibility first, and I'm going to focus on Command Sergeant Major Thorpe-Noel's contributions as my battle buddy, as General Evans' battle buddy, and as our CSM for HRC. And I want to start that with thanking General Evans. I want to thank him for setting the example. One, his wisdom and foresight in selecting Command Sergeant Major Thorpe-Noel, but secondly, also his insight in picking somebody that doesn't necessarily have the same background as he and I did to complement him. What a huge leadership lesson that is in and of itself. To pick somebody who complements you, who is good at all those things that you might not be good at, and is the person that can walk in the door and close it and speak truth to power and tell you where you might be coming up short. So sir, thank you. If I could, I'm going to read a quote from General Evans. It's from General Evans. As a command team, I was witness to her exceptional leadership, wise counsel, and unrelenting commitment to taking care of our people. Yes, uppermost in her mind was mission accomplishment and the welfare of those in her charge. I was always afforded the maximum time to accomplish my duties because she always took care of business. Command Sergeant Major Thorpe-Noel, you will always have my respect and confidence as you have earned the same for the soldiers you served with. You have personified the backbone of the Army. Shelley and I thank you and Terrence for your dedicated service. So, sir, thank you for letting me share that as well. So I fell in on a sergeant major who had a little bit different background than I did, who complemented the areas where I might need some help. And I not only fell in on a great CSM who cared about people, I fell in on one at a critical time and a very challenging time for Human Resources Command. So this is unprecedented in terms of what's gone. We went from maybe 2 people teleworking the day I took the colors to 3,200 people. And without her, how would we navigated the waters of how do you take care of people, how do you manage work, and how do you make sure that all the things that have to get done to accomplish mission get done in that unique environment, and could not have done it without her. At a time when the processes we use to manage the Army's most important asset, its people, have completely changed or very largely changed from processes that were essentially the same for the last 40 years since I joined the Army in 1982. You talk about ASCM Marketplace, no promotion boards to senior NCO ranks. Nope, didn't do that. We're going to do evaluation boards to make sure we're promoting the best. We're converting to IPSA, which is literally the largest challenge this command has ever faced since it stood up. Readiness, we weren't getting any more people in our formations, but what we were getting is the stand-up of 5th Corps headquarters, the establishment of multi-domain task forces, 3 Corps plus up, the SMA. She had to transition SMAs, which is a difficult task in itself, because they're all very high energy, and they want what they want, right? Because that's what they're there for. So she helped transition those SMAs and figure out how do we take the same number of staff sergeants in the Army and put more staff sergeants in combat arms formations and more staff sergeants serving as drill sergeants and recruiters to make sure. But she was the one focused on that, making that happen so that I could remain focused on other things, and I never had to worry about, was it going to happen or was it not. At a time when diversity and inclusion were a huge concern for our Army and our nation. And Command Sergeant Major Thorpe-Noel really took up the mantle, helping lead our focus groups and our campaign plan to get after our little piece of that within Human Resources Command to make sure we were listening and understanding what was going on with the workforce inside our building. Her advice and counsel, her untiring dedication and support as my battle buddy, and I'm sure the same for General Evans, her ability, again, to speak truth to power and be able to tell us, me and anybody else, our 50 or 60 sergeants major, where they were coming up short and where they needed to raise their game. So our hat's off to you. So if you walk into Human Resources Command headquarters, there's a wall of pictures that has 15 command sergeants major for this command. If you look at those 15, all 15 of those happen to be men. And she is the first in the 16th CSM, the first woman to ever hold that office. Again, that's cool. So that's not only testament to her professionalism and ability, that's testament to General Evans's foresight in making sure that we made that happen. And she would say, oh, I stood on the shoulders of a whole lot of giants in order to take that position. And this afternoon, if you walk by that same board, you're going to see her picture. And Sergeant Major McAdoo and all those that follow him are going to be standing on her shoulders. So CSM, my hat's off to you. Thank you and Godspeed, and we'll cover the rest here in just a couple of minutes. So, cool. I'm done with you for now. All right. Sergeant Major McAdoo. So I got a slate, not the Sergeant Major of the Army's office provides a slate of nominative sergeant majors for the commanders to consider. So I got a slate of 5 awesome command sergeant majors. If I had never interviewed a single person and had turned around and thrown a dart at that board, I would have been 100% good to go, and so would this command. But a couple of things stood out about Command Sergeant Major McAdoo. One, he apparently has a little bit of practical intelligence, because when I looked at his photo, in spite of having served in the 82nd and the 101st, he had his air assault wings on top, as it should be. Unfortunately, he's here today, and now he's got his airborne wings on top. We've got to have a little discussion after this. But his boss called me, Lieutenant General Place, who's the director of DHA, 3-star general, and who I know is a particularly demanding individual. And he said, hey, I just wanted to reach out to you and advocate for Command Sergeant Major McAdoo. He said, I never heard of this guy. I don't know where he came from, but I want to know where in the H you get people like this from, because this guy has completely turned this command around. And if you look in the program at his bio, he has served, one, we have to figure out what branch he is. And whatever your branch insignia on your uniform, it must have a question mark on it, right? You've served in air defense units, in field artillery units, in infantry units, in special forces units. You've been a sergeant major in a special forces battalion, in logistics units, as a sustainment brigade commander, with combat tours, 3 combat tours with the 101st and the 82nd Airborne Division. So you bring a tremendous amount of experience, and I'm wholly confident that you're going to take those colors and run exactly as Command Sergeant Major Thorpe-Noel did. So to you and Bevan, welcome to the team. You two are going to knock it out of the park. You're going to enjoy being part of the Soldiers First team, and we're very thankful that you're here and thankful to have you. So cool.
Command Sergeant Major Thorpe-Noel has deferred her remarks until the retirement ceremony. Ladies and gentlemen, the Command Sergeant Major of the United States Army Human Resources Command, Command Sergeant Major Anthony B. McAdoo.
No, it's just wow. I am home, like I say, from Kentucky. But, first of all, good morning, Lieutenant General Brito, Lieutenant General Evans, Major General Calloway, fellow Command Sergeant Majors, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, my family, and all of those who have taken time to view this virtually. I'm truly honored by your presence and would like to extend a special thanks to those who put this ceremony together, as I know it wasn't business as usual due to all the limitations associated with COVID. Sergeant Major Thorpe, I thank you and Terrence for your hospitality and transparency throughout this entire process. Major Calloway, my wife and I thank you for this opportunity. We will not let you down. 28 years ago, I was just another immature, undisciplined, and curious teenager trying to get away from the strict rules of my parents. I wanted to be grown, make my own decisions, go wherever I wanted, whenever I wanted, without having to ask for permission. And somehow, in my young infinite wisdom, I chose the Army, the exact opposite of my wants list. That very first day of basic training, I was so graciously escorted off of a cattle truck in Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri, carrying every single one-size-fits-all piece of clothing and individual equipment the Army issued me, along with the last little bit of what I want in my civilian suitcase. And we had to make that all in one trip. It wasn't allowed to go back and get what you left. So this was definitely not what I envisioned as doing what I wanted, whenever I wanted as an adult. So much for that infinite wisdom. But that proved to be the best decision of my professional life. Little did I know, nor could I understand how my family had prepared me for my career and for this day. Discipline and presence, from my late father, the Reverend Joseph McAdoo. Character and resilience from my mother, who is here today. She's always here. Competition and extreme loyalty from my sister, Sergeant Major Stephanie McAdoo, as the CG said, is currently deployed on a RAF mission in Korea, who had better be watching, So you need to put a like emoji or something on there, or I'm telling Mom. And then the pride from the descendants of the Bogle and the Duncan family, many of whom are here today. Some of them are a little bit closer to the roots of that family tree, Aunt Vaughn. But not here today, but the visual definition of confidence to what I try to emulate is my Granny Clem. Clementine Monday, she was about 4 feet tall, head up, strutting, looking her finest, showing nothing but pride, confidence, no matter where she was, how she felt, or what she had. These traits are deeply ingrained in my DNA because of my family. They had their hands in the clay that molded me and made it possible for me to be standing here today, assuming this great responsibility of the Human Resources Command. So whatever happens from this day forward, blame my family, it's not me. Now, luck is not something I subscribe to. However, I do acknowledge one exception, and that is how my wife came into my life. Her love is unequivocal and undeterred, blind without fail. I'm a firm believer that no one achieves anything without support of and on the backs of good people. I don't care how widely known you are to be the best, the GOAT, or whatever adjective it is you use to describe greatness. Those who enjoy overwhelming success is only because of an active and loyal support group that will not allow them to fail. That number one supporter over the last 4 years has been my beautiful wife, Bevan. Knowing absolutely nothing about the Army, she fully committed to learning and being an advocate for all soldiers and family members. Her personality, drive, individualism has placed her in areas that I couldn't get into, and I've got over 28 years in the Army. I'm proud to say that she worked at the AUSA headquarters, a job that she got on her own merit. Now remember I said she only got about 4 years' time in service. She's equivalent to probably a specialist or a lieutenant in Army years, but that just goes to show you the quick impact that she has had. Now that is why I'm so lucky. I stand here today because my wife prepared me, not just emotionally, but she also actively prepared me as a teacher would. Bevan, I love you, and yes, I'm still in love with you. Now today is all about family for me, and having them here is what makes it so special. Like I said before, in every way, they are responsible for this guy. So to my daughters, Kiana and Alicia, thank you for always being there with me from the beginning, for your love and your support. And now for the Human Resources Command. The engagement is now almost over. Actually, it is over. Now it's time for me to step across the threshold and fully commit to this marriage. From this day forward, for better or for worse, for richer or for poor, in sickness and in health, till my P cord do us part. I do. I will strive every day to be a valued member of this team and earn your respect and confidence as we operationalize and enable the Army People Strategy. Together, we will help maximize the talents of our greatest strength and our most important weapon system, our people, the American soldier, so that when called upon, the Army can deploy, will fight, and will decisively win our nation's wars. Soldiers First is not just the HRC motto, but is the beacon and the focal point of the United States Army. I thank each and every one of you for your attendance today and your unwavering support for the greatest compilation of talent and professionalism this world has to offer, our Army. Soldiers First.
Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes today's Change of Responsibility ceremony. We will now transition to Command Sergeant Major Thorpe-Noel's retirement ceremony, which will be conducted as an indoor ceremony. Please stand for the posting of the colors. Those in uniform are not required to render a salute. We will now take a 5-minute break. You are welcome to depart before the beginning of the retirement ceremony. Please note that Command Sergeant Major Thorpe-Noel and Command Sergeant Major McAdoo will not receive your well wishes until after the retirement ceremony. Thank you.
All right, how we did, okay? Didn't mess it up too bad. Well,
retirement ceremony. Please be seated. A retirement ceremony plays a significant role in recognizing soldiers who are leaving the Army. Customarily, soldiers who are retiring from service are recognized for their devotion to the Army and our country. The ceremony honors our military service members and demonstrates to them and their families the appreciation of a grateful nation for their innumerable sacrifices and incredible contributions. Ladies and gentlemen, the Commander of the United States Army Human Resources Command, Major General Joseph R. Callaway.
All right. Those that left don't get the $3 million bonus checks this year. That's fine. All right, now for the other 30 years. We talked about her last 27 months or so a little, and I won't cover all 27 in gory detail, but do want to recognize the significance of her accomplishment. So Command Sergeant Major Thorpe-Noel started out back in 1989 as a 71 Lima. And for those of you familiar with the 71 Lima career path, you know how incredibly difficult it is to continue to progress in that specialty. And at her time, it required absolutely perfect promotion points, which means you had to max out everything. You had to be an expert with your weapon, you had to max PT score, you had to have awards, you had to have civilian education, and she did all that. But while she was doing all that, she also took on the hard jobs. So if you look at her breast pocket, there's a drill sergeant badge. She's been an equal opportunity advisor. She served in a joint command, and she's been doing those things that as we try to advise and mentor young officers and NCOs growing up, we advise them, take the challenging jobs, broaden yourself, don't pigeonhole yourself into one little thing. And she's done that, earning her bachelor's and master's degrees, all while, again, taking on very challenging duties. So 32 years, that's an awfully long time. And she had to mature early. So as a young 20-year-old private, PFC maybe, she was with 24th ID, and her company commander, the venerable Lieutenant Colonel retired Smooth Al Wilson, is here and was kind enough to share some of his feedback about young Private Thorpe-Noel. The young private who showed up in his formation as a company commander as they were going to deploy for Desert Shield, Desert Storm, and was the person as a private making everything happen. Rail load, taking care of the admin piece to make sure the soldiers in the unit were taken care of, and doing whatever was required or asked of her by the company commander and the first sergeant. And he saw then what we see now, is the potential of somebody to be in the position that Command Sergeant Major Thorpe-Noel has matriculated to over the years. So she's had 2 tours as a first sergeant, 1 as a sergeant first class. 2 tours in combat, 1 as a postal company first sergeant, which for those of you familiar with postal duties, in the 38th Personnel Battalion, you know how challenging those duties are anytime but especially in combat. She's had 11 years as a sergeant major, and 9 of those years as a command sergeant major in battalion, brigade, and now nominative positions, and another several years in a nominative one-star position as our EPMD sergeant major. So tremendous amount of accomplishment and dedication, again, in tough jobs. So for those of you that attended the dinner of the night, you may hear a little bit of a repeat here, but for those that weren't, there's some personal facts from people who have served with Command Sergeant Major Thorpe-Noel during the latter portion of her career in various sergeant's major duties. And I want to start off with CW5 Dixon Carter's comments when we had a young battalion Command Sergeant Major Thorpe-Noel showed up to U.S. Army South Headquarters Battalion, and they may have just been lacking a little bit of discipline in old U.S. Army South, but the drill sergeant showed up. And when the drill sergeant showed up, she said, hey, unless you outrank the battalion commander, you will be in my PT formation. And that was a surprise to everybody assigned to that battalion because they hadn't been doing that. They hadn't had a unit run in who knows how long. And guess what? Command Sergeant Major Thorpe-Noel said, hey, we're doing a unit run, and I expect people out there calling cadences. Now, unfortunately, the way that turned out is they took off on this battalion run, and they had to count on the skills of a young warrant officer and a lieutenant to call cadence. And now they carried it off well, but the Command Sergeant Major was none too happy with that performance. And so, oh, no, don't look like you don't remember. And so shortly into that, the former drill sergeant, Command Sergeant Major, pointed out to the warrant officer and the young lieutenant, said, hey, y'all don't run my formation. So stand down, killers. And I better get some NCOs out in this formation. And I share that because somewhere in our Army today, there is a first sergeant or a drill sergeant or a battalion commander who is using the phrase, stand down, killers, because of the influence you had on the standards in that unit. And back to Heidi Malarchik, who was the deputy to the garrison commander when Command Sergeant Major Thorpe-Noel was the U.S. Army Garrison Stuttgart Command Sergeant Major. And her characterization of Command Sergeant Major Thorpe-Noel's service was she single-handedly changed the entire Stuttgart military community by bringing dedication, care for soldiers, and creativity and initiative to the job. So she had the first Sergeant Morales Club. She brought that. They didn't have it before. She brought that to the Stuttgart community. They had never had a joint NCO induction ceremony in that community. Well, they did now because she brought it there. They had never hosted the Warrior Games, and Command Sergeant Major Thorpe-Noel fought to bring them there and then led the Stuttgart community for the best warrior competition, among other things. Hosted a radio show once a week, so she's a radio personality as well. And again, Heidi's characterization was, here is a woman who single-handedly set the stage and told everybody, both inside the military and in the German community that surrounded it, what it meant to be a woman in service to their nation in uniform. So I think pretty high praise. Sergeant Major Duggan, where's Sergeant Major Duggan at? Sergeant Major Retired Duggan, there you are. So you sent me that letter, and I'm concerned about you. And I told the group the other night there must have been 400 adjectives in one page. I'm like, oh my God, look at all the adjectives. So I had to pick like 20, right? And I shared about 20 of them. So I'll give a couple. Inclusive, decisive, innovative, empathetic, woman of faith and character. Role model, standard bearer. And then I'm going to share one more, verisimilitude. Now, if you know what that is, you know that it might require some medical treatment, and don't worry, your TRICARE is going to cover it. So you're good to go. I don't know what verisimilitude is, but I'm just thankful that your TRICARE is going to cover it in retirement. That's good. All right, and then lastly, from our current CSM at NSA, a 4-star nominative CSM, CSM Cheryl Lyon, who at the time was the USER Command Sergeant Major, and just briefly, who said about Command Sergeant Major Thorpe-Noel, I view her as a mentor, as my role model, and a person responsible for my success in getting me to where I am. And that is pretty high praise for Sergeant Major in her position. You know, a lot of folks over 32 years of service, and over that 32 years, you've been a soldier, you've been a daughter, you've been a mother, you've been a mentor, you've been a leader, you've been a standard bearer. You've touched literally thousands and thousands of soldiers, civilians, and their families because you cared about what you were doing, you were competent, you were passionate, and you were selfless. So our nation and our Army owe you a deep gratitude. I personally owe you the same for your service as my battle buddy. And we wish you and Terrence the very best as you head to the next chapter down in Huntsville. So our hats off to you. Thank you for your service. And again, thank you for all you've done. Cool. You got to come up here now. It's time.
We ask the audience to please remain seated during the reading of each recognition. Attention to orders. The Legion of Merit is awarded to Command Sergeant Major Lynice D. Thorpe-Noel for exceptionally meritorious service to the government over a 32-year career in positions of increasing responsibility, culminating as the 16th Command Sergeant Major for the United States Army Human Resources Command. During her distinguished career, Command Sergeant Major Thorpe-Noel's leadership, dedication, and mentorship positively affected tens of thousands of soldiers, civilians, and families, and increased Army readiness. Command Sergeant Major Thorpe-Noel's numerous accomplishments and outstanding service to our nation are in keeping with the finest traditions of military service and reflect great credit upon herself, the United States Army Human Resources Command, and the United States Army. Signed, James C. McConville, General, United States Army, Chief of Staff. Major General Calloway will now present a certificate of appreciation from the President of the United States. The Certificate of Appreciation for Service in the Armed Forces of the United States of America is presented to Command Sergeant Major Lynice D. Thorpe-Noel. The certificate reads, I extend to you my personal thanks and the sincere appreciation of our grateful nation for your contribution of honorable service to our country. You have helped maintain the security of the nation during a critical time in its history with a devotion to duty and a spirit of sacrifice in keeping with the proud traditions of the military service. I trust that in the coming years, you will maintain an active interest in the armed forces and the purpose for which you served. Those who follow in your footsteps will draw inspiration from your commitment, dedication, and sacrifices made to ensure the protection of our American freedoms. My best wishes to you for happiness and success in the future. Signed, Joseph R. Biden, Jr. Major General Calloway will now present the Certificate of Retirement to Command Sergeant Major Thorpe-Noel. The certificate reads, "From the Armed Forces of the United States of America, this is to certify that Command Sergeant Major Lynice D. Thorpe-Noel, having served faithfully and honorably, is retired from the United States Army on the first day of September 2021. Signed, General James C. McConville, United States Army Chief of Staff." Mr. Noel, please join Major General Calloway and Command Sergeant Major Thorpe-Noel on stage. The Public Service Commendation Medal is awarded to Mr. Terrence R. Noel for his exemplary service to soldiers, Department of the Army civilians, their families, and the local community. Mr. Noel provided years of caring leadership, selfless support, and countless hours of volunteer work in support of the Army mission. He possessed a keen understanding of the importance of family support, a true concern for the well-being of soldiers and their families, and the desire to make a difference. Mr. Noel's service, commitment, and dedication to the United States Army and his local community are in keeping with the highest traditions of civilian service and reflect great credit upon him, the United States Army Human Resources Command, and the United States Army. Signed, Joseph R. Calloway, Major General, U.S. Army, Commanding. Got one more. The Certificate of Appreciation is being awarded to Mr. Terrence Noel on the occasion of the retirement of his wife in the United States Army. He has earned the grateful appreciation for his own unselfish, faithful, and devoted service. His unfailing support and understanding helped to make possible his wife's lasting contribution to the nation. Signed, James C. McConville, General, United States Army, Chief of Staff. Thank you, Mr. Noel. Major General Calloway will now render a final salute to Command Sergeant Major retired Lynice D. Thorpe-Noel. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in a round of applause in congratulating Command Sergeant Major retired Thorpe-Noel, Mr. Noel, and their family. Ladies and gentlemen, Command Sergeant Major Retired Lynice D. Thorpe-Noel.
Woo-wee! I needed to take a deep breath. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. This is the day the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. I tell you, I woke up a little stirring and had to get my faculties together. And on my calm to most of my storms, a lot of them outside of my prayer life, I tell you, is Terrence. And so, Terrence, thank you for being my rock. Appreciate you, baby. Who? They told me I'm going to be saying who a lot in my civilian life, so we're going to count them and see how well I do. I'm going to work on that, okay? But again, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Major General Calloway, thank you very much. I truly appreciate you. And Mrs. Laurie, if you're looking, thank you. Lieutenant General Brito, thanks for being here. Sergeant Major Clark. Lieutenant General Evans, Mrs. Evans, so nice to see you all. Thanks for being here today with me. Command Sergeant Major Gregg, I know you in here somewhere. Command Sergeant Major Webb, Chief Dixon Carter, Major General Evans, Command Sergeant Major Gans and Mrs. Gann, and other general officers, sergeants majors, command sergeants majors, Kentucky Department of Military, and the Veterans Affairs leaders that are present with us today. General Icoka, it's always nice seeing you, sir. Community leaders, other community leaders, soldiers, civilians, friends, family, and of course my sorors of the Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. Thanks for being here today. Well, I tell you, it's short of me saying what a great day to be in the Army, because it's truly a great day every day to be in the Army, to do something that you got a passion for and that you love. And I tell you, words really cannot express how I feel, but I am extremely glad to be serving this nation and being a soldier for life. I would like to thank everyone for attending today's ceremony, both virtually and physically being here with us today, with emphasis on my immediate family that you'll see right here in the front. I have my aunts that have traveled for a distance from near and far to be with me today. I want to just take a moment to also wish, before I forget, I want to wish my Aunt Ada. She's 99, turning 100 years old next week. And I just want to tell her, I love you, Aunt Ada. I love you. And I tell you, you talk about a woman of strength. And as we talk about those women and those men in our family that really gets us here. And it's just funny how you reach back on things and you really become them, that core of things and becoming them. I would just say that it's been a long time coming. It's been a long time coming to get here, and I got to tell you, it goes by so fast. It really does. I don't know where the years went, but I do know they came and went by. But I would tell you, over my 30 years, what a great time I've had. If you didn't know, I started off in college right out of high school, so I left home really young. I left home at 17 and kind of went into college for a couple of years and wasn't academically focused. And so I came into the military, and that was my second chance to get this thing called right. And it has served me well for 30-plus years. If I could give you a list of great leaders, personal, professional, relationships the Army has allowed me to experience over these years, it will be a remarkable list of a who's who across the Army. I will always be a soldier for life, and I will always have a connection with soldiers and veterans. The giants in the Army helped me on my way, my journey, and that's why I will always feel it's my responsibility to pay it forward in some kind of way. So when I looked at my journey, I have to take note to the teachable moments. You know, sometimes we look at them as failures, but they really are teachable moments if you allow yourself to look at that. And that's what I did over the years. I can relate to these teachable moments to be checkpoints. It's kind of gotten principles for me, but let's call them checkpoints. You see, we have always used checkpoints in the Army as a way of keeping us on the course. Checkpoints are great. Checkpoints are not only confirm where you are, they serve as a guide to where you need to go. Where the next checkpoint, how far it is until you get to your next one. There is no doubt that my checkpoints helped me to be and to get to my destination today and have a successful 30-plus years of service in the United States Army. Senior leaders, peers alike, developed my intellect and critical thinking. Non-commissioned officers and soldiers demonstrated the value of teamwork, stressed the importance of camaraderie and esprit de corps, and what it means to be the backbone of the Army. Those same NCOs and soldiers instill a sense of purpose when working to meet the needs and fellow soldiers and their families' needs. Pursuing my passion required me to use a roadmap that great leaders in my past helped me develop. I would like to say a special thanks to the key leaders and the soldiers here today that have helped me with my roadmap and the knowledge that helped me construct my checkpoints along the way. Simply gave me opportunities, some of which you already heard, and people sitting right here in this room that just gave me an opportunity, and I was glad to have it so I could show up, and I did that. General Evans, Colonel Kellogg, General Ikoka, and a host of you. General Calloway, I keep looking over this way, I'm trying to find you. Thank you. Thank you so much for the opportunities. Just to name a few. Of course, you already know I had my first commander ever in the Army. Who would have think? It's a small world, isn't it? It really comes full circle. Thank you both, Nicole, and it's hard to call you Albert, but Albert. So please let me share these three checkpoints with you real quickly that have served me well during my journey. The first checkpoint is character. Character is a personal attributes that define an individual. We either hold ourselves accountable to standards or we squander the opportunity to choose fame, personal pleasure, or profit. It was once said by President Harry S. Truman, fame is a vapor, popularity is an accident, riches take wings. Those who cheer today may curse tomorrow, yet only one thing endures, character. To some, character is synonymous with reputation. Reputation is what others think of you. Character is who you are really. If given a choice, take ownership of your character and let others assign reputation befitting your choice. You just hit the first checkpoint, character, and you're now on the road to success. The second point, and one of the biggest ones to me, is attitude. Whatever your chosen field, develop an attitude of service. Be the service to others and not just yourself. Serving others help others grow, and when they grow, we all grow. Said by former chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff and Secretary of State, General Colin Powell, said, if you're going to achieve in big things, you probably heard this one before, to develop the habits in the little matters. Excellence is not an exception, it's a prevailing attitude. Whatever you set out to achieve, approach with excellence in mind. My third and final checkpoint on this journey of success is perseverance. The opportunity to develop perseverance came early in my career. I left home very young, had a young family, being deployed. A bar was always set high for me, no matter what organization I was in, for excellence. And just trying to meet cutoff scores, as you heard General Calloway talk about, was a beast to attain that. But I did. And to make that next rank, or being the only female sometime in the room at the table, and that was okay. And being able to find balance as a soldier and with my family. It's undeniable, and you can't dispute it, I won't, that success cannot be achieved alone. I could never overcome any of the challenges without a great support system, both at work and at home. I had some tremendous, tremendous leaders that sometimes just walked up to me and whispered something in my ear, and I remember that. Gave me some words of sage wisdom, and I remember that. So I know I couldn't do it by myself, and that's what I preach most times, is that we cannot do it alone. So let's not even start off like this. Let's come together collectively to see how we move forward as a team. So I do have a team of teams, and I have some folks that's been on my teams. You know, well, maybe I was on her team, my mother. So my mother, if you can come up here, come on up here on the stage with me, please. My mother had to find out that I wasn't going to college, and 2 weeks later, I was going to be going into the Army. I tried not to give her much time to talk me out of it or change her mind, but the truth of the matter is this. My mother always wanted to be a soldier. So as far as I'm concerned, this woman is my favorite soldier. She's my baby sergeant major, and she's going to be my favorite soldier for life. I have a presentation for her. I only have one. Well, I married into. I have three now, but I have one of my that I birthed, and it's the girl of the bunch and the lady of the bunch. So she's as sentimental and emotional as me. Right there, baby. Hold tight. But I will tell you, I had this child moving. Her last year of high school was in Hawaii. And she didn't doubt. I said, Corey, you can stay here in the National Capital Region if you want, and we'll make it work for you to finish high school here. And I said, what do you want to do? She said, where you at is where I want to be. And so that's always. So that means a lot to me, and I just have something special for you too, okay? And I think I can read yours. It's okay, you can shed a tear. Sergeant Major Clark bet me that I'll probably be the one first. So he just didn't catch me. It says, Corey E. Thorpe, my brown eyes. I think she has the most beautiful brown eyes. 2021, dear daughter, the respect I have for you, your growth, and empowerment as a woman. You have become what more than words can say. You define yourself by qualities and radiance, your intelligence, your strength, and your sense of responsibility. Thank you for being resilient, supportive, and my loving military child for 28 years. Me and you, as we always say, me and you are what? Always. I love you. For you. All right. You got something you want to say? Okay. Thank you for indulging me to do that for my family. Sir, I know we supposed to have did a certificate. I got so emotional. So do we have those certificates for the family, my mother and Corey? But while we're doing it real quick, I don't want to forget Terrence. I'll come back to you, and I just want to say, hey, I look forward to this next phase and sharing this next chapter with you. If you didn't know, he swept me off the market about 3 years ago. I told his story at the dinner. And so he did that, and I needed it. And so he's been one of the gold nuggets of all the nuggets that I could have pulled out of Fort Knox here. So I found one of them, all right? All right? So, Terrence, I love you, baby. So, do we have them? So we're going to bring them down for you to present all three of you on your feet. We're presenting them certificates to them of appreciation to each one of them. Okay, the camera, yeah, okay. So I promise you we're almost done. Thank you, sir. All right. So again, talking about those checkpoints, those are my kind of like my guiding principles, but understanding that they are checkpoints for me on my journey. If you too believe in success is a journey, then it's a journey that requires a clearly identifiable destination, carefully planning, and a few checkpoints along the way to ensure you're on the right path. Cultivate great character, maintain a positive attitude, be perseverance, never ever quit, be fearless. All of us in the room are on our own journey. Some of us are further along than others, but the journey continues. It is never easy to say goodbye to trusted colleagues, dear friends, partners. And so I will simply give thanks and thank you for being part of my journey. It has been an incredible, incredible blessing to serve alongside each of you, enabling me to leave a legacy that consists of a narrative with all my actions unlocking individual potential, developing relationships and teams, and soldiers that can now stand on my shoulder as a giant to achieve the highest heights. Command Sergeant McAdoo, Command Sergeant of the Human Resources Command, and Bevan, I'm poking at him. Terrence and I wish you and your family all the very, very best. You will know how to get me if nobody else does. So it does here and here. We are only a phone call away. I will also share something that one of the senior non-sergeant majors told me. They told me, being a Human Resources Command Sergeant Major, you are one of the only leaders that's a Command Sergeant Major of an enterprise that touches every soldier, veteran, and their families across the entire Army. But I know you're a dynamic leader, and there's no question you're going to continue to build on the legacy of Command Sergeant Majors before you so they can continue to build after you're gone. But you got 2.5 years. All right. But really, all the best to you, both you and Bevan. Again, to everyone, thank you for honoring me and my family. And my family there, you know, I got my Aunt Irish, my Aunt Doris, my cousin, and my cousin Link, and Renee, and their friends and family, and then, of course, my sorors. Thank you so much for honoring me with your attendance today. And if I missed you, don't blame it on my mind, because my heart is different, okay? I'm proud to serve people first, soldiers for life. Sweet 16, signing out. Who?
Please be seated. The United States Army Human Resources Command Ceremonial Honor Guard will present a flag presentation in honor of Command Sergeant Major Thorpe-Noel's retirement and faithful service to her country.
When observing an honor guard during the folding of the flag, you may notice how the meticulous process results in the flag being folded 13 times. You may have thought this symbolized the original 13 colonies. However, each step has a separate and very distinct meaning. The first fold of our flag is a symbol of life. The second fold is a symbol of our belief in eternal life. The third fold is made in honor and remembrance of the veterans departing our ranks who gave a portion of their lives for the defense of our country to attain peace throughout the world. The fourth fold represents our weaker nature. For as American citizens trusting in God, it is Him we turn to in times of peace, as well as in times of war for His divine guidance. The fifth fold is a tribute to our country. For in the words of Stephen Decatur, our country, in dealing with other countries, may she always be right, but it is still our country, right or wrong. The sixth fold is for where our hearts lie. It is with our heart that we pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The seventh fold is a tribute to our armed forces. For it is through the armed forces that we protect our country and our flag against all her enemies, whether they be found within or without the boundaries of our republic. The eighth fold is a tribute to the one who entered into the valley of the shadow of death, that we may see the light of day. The ninth fold is a tribute to womanhood and mothers, for it has been through their faith, their love, loyalty, and devotion that the character of the men and women who have made this country great has been molded. The 10th fold is a tribute to the Father, for He too has given His sons and daughters for the defense of our country since they were first born. The 11th fold represents the lower portion of the seal of King David and King Solomon, and glorifies in the Hebrew eyes the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. The 12th fold represents an emblem of eternity and glorifies in the Christian's eyes God the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. The 13th and final fold, or when the flag is completely folded, the stars are uppermost, reminding us of our nation's motto, "In God we trust." After the flag is completely folded and tucked in, it takes on the appearance of a cocked hat, ever reminding us of the soldiers who served under General George Washington, and the sailors and Marines who served under Captain John Paul Jones, who were followed by their comrades and shipmates in the armed forces of the United States, preserving for us the rights, privileges, and freedoms we enjoy today.
Ladies and gentlemen, please remain seated for the playing of Old Soldiers Never Die and Auld Lang Syne. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the playing of the Army song and remain standing for the retiring of the colors. Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes today's ceremonies. Thank you for attending. Please follow the directions of the ushers and remember to practice social distancing while in the theater. Command Sergeant Major retired Thorpe-Noel and her family will move to the front of the stage for you to offer your well wishes. Command Sergeant Major McAdoo and his family will be located in the foyer. Thank you, and soldiers first.